You're watching WALA Channel 10, bringing you more news more often. Now, from the #1 news station on the Gulf Coast, this is Action News 10 live at 6 p.m.
A Gulf Coast middle school mourns the loss of a devoted teacher today following yesterday's tragic pileup on the Bayway.
But first, federal investigators examine the scene of the pileup to see what can be done to prevent future accidents. Hi, I'm Deiah Foster.
And I'm Bob Grip. The National Transportation Safety Board investigators arrived at the scene of the worst accident in the history of the Bayway today. Estimates now bring the total number of vehicles involved in yesterday's pileup to 167. As Action News 10's Carol Hunter tells us, rather than determining what caused the accident, investigators are now focusing on how to prevent future pileups.
NTSB officials aren't investigating Monday's disaster with the same approach they usually use.
We're interested in how to fix these, not so much in how the accidents themselves occurred.
But fixing the problems won't be easy. Golden will gather information from state troopers and experienced commercial truck drivers to see how this pileup compares with a similar multi-car collision in Tennessee. He may then be able to recommend the same kind of fog detection and warning system now in place there.
And all the warning you can give a driver in a condition such as this, where they go from a clear weather right into a zero visibility situation, they need all the help they can get.
But state troopers tell us that's only a partial solution to a problem that's been growing ever since the bridge was built. When the Bayway was built about 20 years ago, it was not designed to handle the 50,000 cars which now cross it every day. And it was never designed to handle drivers who disobey the traffic laws. And the Alabama State Troopers are putting those drivers on notice. They're not going to tolerate it anymore.
The Alabama State Troopers right now are planning ways to enforce the law on the Bayway. Whether it's aerial enforcement, escorts going up and down the Bayway at 65 miles an hour, making everybody drive 65, we don't know. But we're going to do something, and we're going to control the traffic out there.
NTSB investigators say yesterday's pileup involved more vehicles than any other accident they can recall, although it didn't claim as many lives. In Mobile, Carol Hunter, Action News 10.
Investigators say wearing seat belts and improved car design probably helped prevent more deaths in yesterday's pileup.
Investigators agree it was a miracle yesterday's disaster didn't take more lives, but the miracle stopped short of saving Francis Bibi Kobos of Bay Minette. Action News 10's Amy Greer spent the day talking to family and friends of the one driver killed on the Bayway. Amy?
Well, Deiah, the overwhelming feeling of everyone who knew Bibi Kobos seems to be, why her? Compassionate, full of faith, warm and intelligent. Friends say she would have been the one comforting them today, telling them everything will be all right. But it's not all right for the family dealing with the horrible way she died, or her students wondering why their teacher became the one victim who didn't live through yesterday's disaster.
I work in the emergency room at USA, and as we received the very last patient and realized that was the last one we'd be getting, I once again thank God that there was no one that I knew.
Charlotte Craig's prayer of thanks turned to horror later in the afternoon as a friend called to say there was a familiar name on the victim list. Charlotte's best friend, Francis Bibi Kobos.
And I was devastated. Fell all to pieces. She was never down. It was a gift that she had, and of all the people that I've ever known, I would have to say without a doubt that I know she is in heaven.
It was just like any other weekday morning for 50-year-old Bibi Kobos, heading across the Bayway from her home in Bay Minette to her job as a Mobile school teacher. She had no way of knowing what lay ahead in the thick fog. Moments later, this became what's left of Kobos' 1988 Honda. Investigators say it was rear-ended on the westbound side and caught fire. Witnesses described the horrible drama that followed. Bibi crying out for their help, they unable to reach her with her car pinned against a tractor trailer. Before anyone could get her out, the car exploded. It's been especially hard for students at May Ains Middle School. A few years ago, Kobos went back to school to get her master's in special education and chose to come here to work with inner-city children. Principal Sue Webb has spent the day trying to explain the unexplainable.
Some of the things the kids are saying is it's just not fair. Of all the people on the causeway or on the Bayway, why was it Miss Kobos? I mean, why did it have to be our teacher?
She's a person that I think prayed every day for her own forgiveness, for the forgiveness of others, and could always come in with an upbeat because she knew each day was a new day.
Bibi Kobos was ready for that new day. The lesson planner carefully made out, desks arranged for class near a sign her students surprised her with last Friday. Tonight, her friends and family have a message for all those who tried to save her life.
I want them to know that, we appreciate everything they did to try to get Bibi out, but I also want them to know that I know she didn't suffer because she was too good. God would not make her suffer like that.
It is a double blow for May Ains tonight. The school lost its other special education teacher just 6 weeks ago. You may remember Pam Farmer was killed on her way home from school in Fairhope. Now, the school had special counselors on hand today to work with the children. It's going to be awfully tough for them. Deiah?
That is sad, Amy. All right, thanks. Well, just to recap today's developments in the worst accident in Bayway history, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board examined the Bayway and Causeway this morning to determine what can be done to prevent future pileups.
State troopers now say the total number of cars and trucks involved in the pileup reached 167. And of the more than 70 victims injured, only 4 remain hospitalized this evening. And family, friends, students, and teachers remember the only fatality in the accident, Frances Kobos, who was a teacher at Maine's middle school.
A dispute between an uncle and nephew appears to have led to a shooting this afternoon. Mobile police tell us 51-year-old Richard Don Thomas was shot inside his home on Lincoln Avenue. Shortly after the shooting, police took 22-year-old Darius Jones into custody, charged with first-degree assault. According to police, Jones lives next door to the victim and is his nephew. Police also confiscated a shotgun inside Jones's house. Thomas was taken to USA Medical Center, where he is listed in serious condition.
Here's some good news tonight for Mobile's finest. Thanks to a $1.9 million federal grant, the city now has the money to hire 27 additional officers. Police Chief Harold Johnson says 16 new officers have already completed their training and are ready to hit the streets. The remaining 11 officers should be on the force by the end of the year.
Well, they're very important. We'll still be behind because we've had a large attrition rate since this grant was approved, and we're down approximately 35 officers right now.
City Council today gave final approval to the grant, which also requires matching city funds. The Mobile Metro Jail has a new group of highly trained correction officers this evening. 29 correction officers graduated from an intensive training course this morning at the jail. The 120-hour course includes defense tactics, firearms training, stress management, and the psychology of inmate behavior, just to name a few. The 29 new recruits are now ready to go to work for Sheriff Jack Tillman as guards in the Metro Jail. Coming up next on Action News 10, we'll tell you who made it to the championship round in today's Scott High-Q competition.
And later, they are ripe and ready and hanging on the vine. It's strawberry picking time along the Gulf Coast.
The Scott High-Q academic competition has its own version of the big dance. It's the Magnificent Seven, the 7 top teams that face off to enter this week's championship match. Today, the first of the semifinals took place at Baker High School, and it was a close contest between well-matched teams from Baker, LaFleur, and Satsuma. But only one team could advance to the finals, and that team was Baker. Today's score, Baker 36, LaFleur 29, Satsuma 23. Now, this means Baker is guaranteed at least $1,000 in prize money for use in scholastic programs. The remaining semifinal is tomorrow morning at 9:30 at Davidson, between Davidson, Murphy, and Mary Montgomery.
A sure sign that spring is finally here is a local strawberry harvest. You may remember farmers battled freezing temperatures in January and February. But as Action News 10's James Gordon tells us, the outcome seems to be pretty good.
Like all farmers, Claude Bailey knows he is fortunate when Mother Nature cooperates. Bailey's 28 acres of strawberries survived the worst conditions, mainly last month's freezing temperatures.
Overall, we're going to have a fair crop. Not as good as last year, I don't think, but okay.
Needless to say, there are still some obstacles. Again, it's all up to Mother Nature.
It depends on whether we get sunshine for the next 3 or 4 weeks or not.
Sunshine or not, spring is here, and so are the customers. Some pick the berries themselves, others simply stop by.
Tonight we're going to have strawberry shortcake, and tomorrow night we'll have strawberry shortcake, and then maybe some more will be ripe, and we'll have some more.
Okay, good plan. Typically, each one of these plants yields strawberries for 6 to 8 weeks, and they'll continue picking through mid-May. With thousands of dollars at stake and the danger of inclement weather, strawberry farmers know they are taking a risk. This year's crop thankfully survived, offering nothing but sweet rewards. In Alberta, James Gordon, Action News 10.
Most of the strawberries that grow along the Gulf Coast are transplanted from plants trucked in from Canada. Farmers say Gulf Coast weather typically produces a larger and much sweeter fruit.
Well, the strawberry fields get the sunshine they need this week.
Janet Thompson is up next with your forecast.
Now, Action News 10 at 6 p.m. continues.
Well, spring got here last night about 8:14 p.m., and we've not had a full 24 hours of it yet, but we're going to have it, of course. Let's look at our satellite photo and see what happened around the country today. Well, in our part of the country, except for the morning fog, we've had a mostly sunny day as high pressure has dominated the weather here along the Gulf Coast. You can see where the rain showers and some even snow has been falling in the clouds of the Great Lakes and into the northeast. And off to the west, they've got a mix out west in portions of Idaho, down into Nevada, the mountains of California, Oregon, and Washington State, and some rain along the coastline. This is a new storm system that's moving onshore. Nothing like we had last week, though. Our main weather maker's high pressure is sitting down along the Gulf of Mexico. It's sitting right over Pensacola and Fort Walton Beach, and we're going to again have a southerly flow of moisture into the area tonight. That's going to give us a chance of some fog forming once again around midnight, staying with us until about 9 or so tomorrow morning. But generally tomorrow, once again with high pressure, we're looking at a very sunny day, at least partly cloudy. And here's what we expect to happen now. This is what's going to happen now. The storm system in the Rockies is going to come through the plain states, and by this time tomorrow be sitting over Iowa with a cold front running down into Texas and continuing north into Canada. Snow showers are expected here in the northern plains, a mixture of snow and rain all the way from Montana into Idaho and then back across Nevada into the mountains of California. We don't expect this rain to swing down to the Gulf Coast. We expect it to miss us once again. The next rain we expect to get is this right here, and it won't be our way until sometime Saturday afternoon. So it's looking good, and a warming trend is definitely going to be with us until Friday. Very high is what we have for the pollen count today. This is from the Allergic Disease Center at the University of South Alabama. Showing up, we have pine, oak, birch, walnut, hackberry, cypress, ginkgo, and ash. And we're even in the moderate range as far as mold spores are concerned. Up to 80 degrees. That was the high in Mobile today, 79 in Pensacola, 75 in Fort Walton Beach, and 76 in Pascagoula. Much above normal, as you see, along the coastline this morning. 61 degrees the low in Mobile, 63 in Pensacola, 66 in both Fort Walton and Pascagoula. The normal high this time of the year would be about 72, so we're running nearly 10 degrees above normal. 76 degrees outside right now in Mobile, 74 in Pascagoula, 75 right now in Pensacola. Still quite warm as you get away from the coastline. Hattiesburg is coming in at 79. Montgomery's coming in at 78. Overnight tonight, we expect the lows to only go down into the lower 60s. It's going to be mostly fair, but the fog could develop around midnight and stay with us until sunup tomorrow. So morning fog and some clouds, and then in the afternoon, it's going to be partly cloudy and warmer as we head for a high of 82 degrees with southwest winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's a look at our extended forecast. It's going to be sunny to partly cloudy Thursday and Friday. Highs will be from 82 to 84 degrees on those 2 days. Then the weekend moves in. We'll get some isolated showers on Saturday with a high of 76 and some thunderstorms on Sunday. And of course the Azalea Trail Run is Saturday morning. We think they're going to get the race in before the rain showers get here.
I hope so. And speaking of that, the countdown is on for the 1995 Azalea Trail Run.
And Lance Crawford has highlights from both Spring Hill College and the University of Mobile baseball games.
Well, did he or didn't he? Allegations continue to fly of cocaine use by former Boston Celtics star Reggie Lewis. Lewis, who died while shooting baskets in 1993, had no history with drugs, but a recent Wall Street Journal reports that 2 doctors have said scars on his heart were consistent with cocaine use. Now this man, Derek Lewis, no relation to Reggie, but a teammate of his at Northeastern, claims the 2 did use cocaine while in college. Lewis's teammates, on the other hand, claim that the latest accusations are not warranted.
And every time you read the paper or every time you turn on the radio, same thing's coming up or more stuff's coming up, and some guy, well, I sold Reggie drugs in New Bedford or whatever. You know, it's just getting to a point where it's getting like a big Enquirer soap opera now.
The Celtics plan to retire Lewis's number during halftime of tomorrow's game with the Bulls. Strange doubleheader for the Spring Hill Badgers today. 2 games, 2 different teams. First up was Auburn-Montgomery. The Badgers lose that one 9-4. But look to rebound against Nebraska Wesleyan. We go to the Hill, where sitting on the wall and taking in a ball game is the tradition there. Top 2 scoreless tie until the Mickey Collins chops the third. It's a fielder's choice, scoring Steve Miller, the Joker. It was 1-0 Wesleyan. Back come the Badgers, bottom of the second. Oh, we got us a gapper here. 2 out, 2 runs will score. Made it 2-1 Spring Hill. That's the latest score we have. We'll try to update it at 10. Meanwhile, pretty nice day out at the University of Mobile. The Rams hosting Belhaven in a double dip. Belhaven's Ricky Berry muscling up and smashing this 2-run blast to right. In the third, it cut a 4-0 Mobile lead in half. Zane Johnson bit the bullet, but here Johnson with some great defensive help. Look at this. It looks like a sure single, but out of nowhere, Sambo Bowden snags it. 4-2 Rams in the 5th in that first game. That is the last score we have there. The 18th edition of the Azalea Trail Run is Saturday morning, and Bob Grip says not only will he run, he will win this year. Sure. That's right. Once again, Channel 10 will air a special half-hour report on the ATR Saturday evening. Tonight, Chris Coraggio takes a look at one of the local favorites.
Well, spring is upon us. That means the ATR is upon us. The Azalea Trail Run will take over the streets of Mobile this Saturday. Close to 8,500 folks will lace up the old running shoes. Among them, some of the best long-distance runners in the nation and the world. But the majority of people in this event will, of course, be local runners. On one hand, you got folks coming out of the woodwork just because they like running in this event. On the other hand, you got folks that train all year long for this run. And one of those people is this gentleman. If you spend any time in the downtown area during the day, you've seen Billy Knapp doing just this. The former Auburn cross-country runner runs in about 10 to 12 races a year, but this is the big one.
Oh, this is the one race I guess most runners key for all year round because it is the biggest race. Everybody will be here who are the top local runners, so you can see how you stack up against the rest of them. So it's a very important race to me.
This will be the 6th ATR that Billy will run in. He usually finishes in the top 10 in the local division.
Hopefully he'll be able to do it again this year. It's getting tougher and tougher. Lots of new runners are coming in town who are younger and faster, so it's trying a little bit harder to try to keep up there.
Covering the Azalea Trail Run, I'm Chris Coraggio for Action News 10 Sports.
Be there Saturday morning. Look for Bob.
8 o'clock? 8 o'clock?
That's when the gun goes off.
I'll get up before 9. I'm sorry. Not on Saturdays. Still to come, some Gulf Coast school kids get a surprise today.
We'll show you who their mystery reader was when we come back.
Leaving his jacket behind him.
Closed captioning of Action News 10 is funded by your local Chrysler dealer.
Coming up tonight at 10, the mystery envelope is no longer a mystery to us. And Cato Kalin takes the stand. We'll have the latest on the Simpson trial. Plus, look at this, an unbelievable deadly disaster. The wall of a high-rise building comes tumbling down for no apparent reason. We'll have those stories and much more coming up tonight at 10.
Finally tonight, some children got a surprise when they showed up for Story Hour at a West Mobile bookstore this morning. Action News 10's own Amy Greer was this morning's mystery reader at Barnes & Noble.
Mischief. I am going out. So they better not go in Mr. McGregor's garden. Then old Mrs.
The store invites parents to bring their children in for special story hours once a month throughout the school year. Today's focus was gardening, so Amy's reading selection was The Tale of Peter Rabbit. That's our news for right now. Thanks for joining us.
Join us again for Action News 10 at 10 p.m. right after Dateline NBC. Until then, have a good night.